Hey Eric,
Well,
how you
hey,
doing?
how you doing, Justin?
Are you ready to use your imagination today? Happy
I
Friday.
am ready to use my imagination today, Justin. I'm always using my imagination when I show up to the multifamily weekend update.
Isn't that true? Yeah. Well, you're in luck because it's National Creativity Day.
Oh,
If
thank
you didn't know,
gosh. Thank gosh.
yes, we can
Blame
finally celebrate
blame it on the
creativity.
creatives. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. How was your week?
It was a good week, a busy week. Lots of fun things are coming up for for Apartmentalize. So many things. I'm really excited. One of my favorite things about Apartmentalize is a lot of things get announced, at the event, the days of the event, everything from mergers to, fundraising to, new employees joining companies, showing up. It's just kind of a really fun, buzzworthy time.
Yeah, it is. It is buzzworthy time. It's also for marketers like yourself and companies and session people, right? They're using creativity to create new booth spaces, new engaging, content, all of that. Creativity is definitely something I like to talk about a lot. I know you talk about it. That's one of the things we have in common. Um, but we don't always talk about it in multifamily as like a skill or an attribute in the work environment.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when there's issues like budgets. Like budgets are the ultimate creative killer. However, I see budgets as an opportunity because it gives you that ceiling where you say, okay, within this budget, what can we do? What can we accomplish? Right?
Yeah.
The timeline, the budget, the resources, and when you add all those together, then you have like the materials or at least the borders of what you can do for creativity.
Right. I love that point. There was a theater professor, one of my first theater professors, who dealt in stage design, that said the art of theater is kind of working with what limitations you have. So it's like whether that's budget, whether that's resources, whether that's talent, but like that's when you're most creative is when you are boxed in, when you
Yeah.
have the parameters, and then it's like what can you do with it? Um, Speaking of
Yeah, I
like
think one of the most
creativity, yeah, go
I
ahead.
think one of the most dangerous things for creatives is just telling them, "Hey, we have unlimited time, unlimited budget. What can you do?" And for creative, their brain will just never stop thinking of the next best thing, the next best thing. It's really hard to turn a creative brain off.
Yeah, that is true. And some people feel like they can't be creative. Multifamily housing news put together kind of a way to be creative, to use multifamily influencing, um, and kind of use creative ways to kind of market or take benefit of programs of resident ambassadors, of more professional, influencers, of podcasts, of different ways. There's a list of 8 things you can see up here that kind of detail in an article. What do you think from your perspective? Like, what are some of the easy from this list? Like, what are some of the easiest ones to kind of get off the ground for folks?
Oh my gosh. Influencer kind of stuff. I think it's great because influencers already have the network. They've developed the network. They have the brand. You're essentially just tapping into it, right? You are utilizing something they have built. You
Yeah,
tap into it and you come up with something fun to do. I honestly think it's not just sponsoring. I think sponsoring, no offense to all the people that go out and sponsor, sponsoring is lazy without creativity. There should always be something creative a part of your sponsorship, and that's why I like sponsorships that if you like a sponsor, for example, a cocktail or something like
hmm
that, you sponsor a specific session, but you do something specific during that session that is different than everyone else, right? You
right.
you take action, have people take action, or maybe you workshop things or split people up in pairs. Uh,
Yeah,
just creating action, creating value. I think is really important. I think you can do that using influencers. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and to your point, like logos are only so, if not at all, engaging. So it's just a logo. Eventually, those things kind of pass over them. So the things where um, shameless plugging the Palooza, but where a lot of those sponsors are actively engaging in various kind of ways, depending on how they've gotten to do that. So you can see some examples of this, like right at NAA, Multifamily Media Network is hosting their second annual podcast Palooza, where you and I are going to be emceeing. Are you off book yet? Are you off book for the script and everything? What we're doing?
Yeah. There's a book.
Oh yeah, you should probably see it. I guess. I guess that we have to finish that, and then you could be off book for it.
Yeah, we were just talking about how Justin and I are flying in a little early. We're flying in on Monday to co-work and get some regular day job work done. But we also are going to be preparing for the Palooza, which I'll go ahead and
Yeah,
kick this off
throw
here.
throw
Yeah.
all those folks that are sponsoring, individual podcast sessions. You'll see the podcast host and guests, and you'll see the showdown experts and companies. The showdown is going to be on AI, right? And different topics covering leasing, operations, maintenance, etc. On how that on where we stand on it. So it'll be kind of a fascinating little debate showdown.
And I do want to implore you. I don't have a link for this, but we'll share the link. Sign up now because this event is going to sell out. All the sponsors are already booked. Kudos to Jennifer Carter for the amount of effort. We've seen the behind the scenes.
Yes, we
Kudos to
have.
her for putting all of this together.
Hmm.
This is technically not her day job. She does this to help support the Multifamily Media Network and the other, great organizations she works with. She's also
Yes.
showing up to Apartmentalize for Nurture Boss. But
Yeah.
holy cow, hosting an event is just nuts. And this is a 3-hour event with lots of live things. Justin and I we're just showing up and making it look easy, but
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
goal.
we're keeping things moving and hopefully engaging and making sure you know where to look. But there's plenty of stuff that will be happening. I'm wearing my Apartmentalized shirt to kind of call out that, and I'm wearing my little cap to call out 1923 because that is where it will be happening at 1923 in the Venetian. So make sure to RSVP.
Heck yeah. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of feeling overwhelmed, have you felt overwhelmed from any emails yet?
Are you asking? Is that a rhetorical question?
Are you getting emails that are like, "Hey, property manager"?
Uh huh. Yeah. I will say I will say we see this trended on LinkedIn this week. There was several folks saying this is the great way to do it. Don't do it. I'm overwhelmed. This is how I'm going to do it. I don't mind it, but I don't engage with it. It was all over the map. As somebody that I think we both participate in this, my approach is don't meet with me. don't I'll come find you and we'll talk. You don't have to schedule special time. But from a lot of folks it's sort of like this is going to be busy, and I think the more aware that you are of that, the better, and I think um, you're in Vegas, you're at a conference, there's a lot to see and do, and emails that like are about events and hangouts and parties and sessions and all this, it's a lot. So, as we deal with, mental health awareness month, the end, this can feel overwhelming, and it's okay because I think everyone is in the same boat with it.
I mean, oftentimes I'm a conference veteran, but not for Apartmentalize. I've been to about 3 or 4 at this point, starting to lose
Oh
track,
yeah.
I guess. But
I
but
yeah, I was curious, 3 or 4.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not
Yeah.
not not too many. I skipped a year or so, and then I came on back. But
Yeah.
I think
I
one of my
have
favorite things to
you.
do is just put everything into my calendar as best as I can. Like who I want to meet
Mm-hmm.
with, just block off the time. Give yourself time in between meetings, the 15 minutes of walking, restroom break. You're gonna bump into so many people, right? And I've pissed people off before at conferences where you
Oh,
you know have a scheduled meeting time and it's 15 minutes, and if you miss it, they're gone. So yeah, it's a challenge for sure.
Yeah. I think I've been to probably about 15. I'm not sure, but a lot. And I think what I've learned is to make sure to carve out, like, don't over plan. Don't over plan. Don't over schedule. Kind of have your ideal itinerary, ideal meetings, and when those fall through, what's your backup to do instead of that? What's your other thing? So having kind of like lists of priorities. Like, I want to make sure that I hit, these are the top 10 sessions I want to get to. These are the other, six that I think might be great. And then if you can't make it to one, I think prioritizing ahead of time is really important.
Yeah, and
And
actually,
looking at maps and looking at maps. I mean,
yeah,
legitimately looking at what hotel am I staying in? Theoretically,
yes.
how long will it take me to get there if I'm not right by the conference center?
This is one of the few conferences where they have just multiple hotels, right? So you may be
Hmm.
completely spread out. So it's going to be interesting. Justin, I'm actually going to flip some things on you here. I want to talk about the flight stuff first and then
Oh,
lead
yeah.
into the next thing. So I'll
I
do
think that's
that.
great.
Something interesting this week is uh, Grady Newman had his first flight with his kiddo, and he was asking for tips. And I really like seeing posts like this, not only because of their kid related. I'm a dad, I get it, but he's like genuinely looking for tips, and he's trying to collate as much as he can and figure out, okay, like, what's the common themes here, what should I definitely do. Some of the tips were things like, make sure you feed your baby, going up and then coming down for pressurizing,
Hmm.
depressurizing. My favorite tip is, like, make sure you have a fresh diaper right before you go on the airplane. um, and usually if your kid is under the age of 2, most flights are pretty simple. I think right around the age of 2 is when kids don't want to sit in their seat, and
Yeah.
that's a
And,
challenge.
I mean, honestly, I think I like somebody, I read the post as well. And I think that somebody posted something about, like, just don't care what people think. And as a fellow plane traveler, honestly, a crying baby is the last thing that annoys me on a plane. Like, sure,
Yeah.
you have people have headphones, they have things, but we could talk about seat space. We could talk about the people next to you and how engaging they are or not. I'd much rather sit next to a
Oh yeah.
screaming baby than somebody that took up all of the armrests on both sides.
Oh yeah, someone who literally just got a pump
Hmm.
in at the gym right before, and their
Hmm.
bulging muscle body
Yep.
is
That's
taking
my
up
luck
all
of
the
the draw
space.
usually. That's when I have the middle seat, and it's always
Yeah.
it's always that way. I also want to
Oh
call
yeah.
out this post before we switch away.
Yeah.
Marshall Friday kind of inspired some of this, and he's not even in the industry anymore, but he still shows up in the industry on people's LinkedIn feeds over and over again because we're all following him. I don't know, Stark Systems, they do, ventilation or something of that nature.
Yeah.
But we're still connected to him. All different people see his stuff and is engaged with it, which I just think that's fascinating and great.
Well, that's awesome. And this got me thinking about first time tips
Hmm.
for NAA, and we were just talking about that. But this is ultimately what I thought about, and we're going to take a page from Lisa from 11 months ago, when Lisa gave some tips for first time speakers.
Yeah.
Tip
And
number
these work
one.
just as well in Vegas as in Philly, right?
This is true,
Okay.
100%. I think it all
All right.
works. The main thing is, don't gamble and get drunk the night before you're going to go speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
But find your speaking room right away. Like, get familiar with the space. Same thing goes for on a flight. Like, try to board first, right?
Hmm.
Get familiar with the space. If you have a
Right.
kid, try to board first. Introduce yourself to the flight attendants. Same thing here. Introduce yourself to the AV team. Get to know them. You
Hmm.
know, that way, if you have an issue, you can call out their name instead of just, like, trying to wave them down.
Yeah. And
Uh, you know,
if you're a vendor, like, going exhibiting for the first time, it's the same thing. Like, go to your exhibit area, understand where the floor is, understand the folks that are working for, your electrical, like it's the same kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I love these tips.
Yeah, make friends with everyone who's around you at your booth because you're
Mm-hmm.
going to spend the next 2.5 days with them, and you might need some help and support. It's actually good for them to know your pitch as well. You practice your pitch if you're a vendor. Practice your pitch on the people who are setting up next to you. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to practice the pitch there. Um, because if they don't get it after setting up their booth and their brain being frazzled from staying up late and traveling in, then maybe you want to refine that pitch.
Yeah, yeah. I have a question for you. I mean,
Yeah.
about first times. Like do you remember your first NAA? Like I
Yeah.
I remember mine. What was one of your first impressions when you first showed up?
Sure. So I came from like the medical technology industry. So I've done large conferences before. I think my first impression was uh, how it is like the housing industry, right? So like we're doing apartments. I was surprised that how many companies are involved. Like for example, security companies, right? There's security companies that don't just do multifamily, right? So there's companies that have adjacent verticals that they work
Yeah.
in, and they have to. And it's interesting watching them adjust to multifamily because a lot of times you have words that you say. For example, NOI is like one of the biggest things we all talk about, right? Your net operating income. Oh, property managers, regional, they all want to, they all want positive NOI, right? Well, if you're coming in to an event like this and you have like a generic exhibit, a generic talk track, um, you may not connect as well with some folks. And ultimately, that was one of my biggest impressions, is that some of these companies, unfortunately, are spread pretty thin and they're not connecting all that well versus a company that is very specifically talking to multifamily. Those seems to be the vendors that do really well.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I had a similar kind of reaction, which was the amount and number of companies and the different kind of avenues that they kind of took. Because I was in a very specific vertical kind of niche. I knew a lot of the companies, um, but I was surprised just by how, oh, there's another locksmith company and they focus on this, or it's very vast. And I think for anyone
Um,
um, that is coming the first time, is you're not going to encompass it all. So focus on the things that's the prioritize, like focus on the things you think are most important, and kind
yeah.
of have that list handy.
Yep. Make sure you're differentiating. And at the end of the day, you're just building connections here.
Hmm.
That's it. At the end of the day, build connections. Uh, you know, that's it. Try to get one-on-one time if you can. That's the most important thing. Figure out what's important to the people you're talking with because it's all about them, not about you.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, I'm
News.
trying to think of how to segue into this next one here.
All right, I'm watching. I'm taking
Speaking
notes,
of
Eric. Let me see.
picking up what I'm putting down,
Were we though? How about being smart? Those tips are smart, right? Those tips are smart, and so now we're gonna have another smart way to do valet
yep,
trash.
this is true. Fetch, the company you know and love that is delivering something like a dog, but not dog related. Although sometimes they deliver dog related packages. Guess what? Now they're taking things away from you, taking
Yes,
away your trash.
yes. Takes away some trash. Very cool announcement. That's a need that's obviously covered by lots of folks, but now it's kind of rolling these delivery services kind of into one, right? Like if you're bringing things to a property, why not on the way out take things away? I assume that's part of it.
Yeah.
Total non sequitur here. There are companies out there that you can hire to send trash or crappy trash to people. So there's another
Yes.
revenue stream. I don't know if like if
Yeah. I
you
mean,
if you
you just
start
pick
getting
up trash from
pets
someone and then
pets
just
involved, right? Getting pets waste involved, and then
is this like sending someone a glitter bomb? Is that basically what this is? But it's a
basically
trash
it.
bomb.
Basically it. I don't know. Possible revenue stream. I don't think Fetch is doing that at all. But that's where
I'm
my
gonna guess they're
creative
not.
that's where my creativity went right now. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, I can appreciate. Well, speaking of creativity,
Yes.
who's the goat of creativity in our industry?
Well, this week I I loved Rena Patel's post. You know, she first of all she didn't get a bro or dude Coke bottle, which is a win, I guess already. But
Mm,
she got a
yep.
goat, which apparently I didn't know what it meant, but apparently it means Gray Star owned asset team.
Yeah, this is news to me. This is a huge
Yeah.
update. I This whole time I thought I didn't realize Tom Brady
No,
was a part of the Gray Star
no,
team.
I yeah,
Lionel
it's pretty
Messi
exciting.
apparently is a part of the Gray
Uh
Star
huh.
team.
Uh
Yes,
huh. Yeah, I thought it was
that's
very
right.
clever. It got a lot of engagement. What a nice
That's right.
shot! And this is this is an Atlanta-based person as well. And as we all know, Coca-Cola is in our backyard. They do a lot of things here in Atlanta. Kind of a nice crossover there. What else is happening in the news? There was some stuff. Multifamily Dive, I think, posted released a May 2025 kind of top deals. Did you happen to read
Yes,
that or not?
I am currently bringing up another image.
I just started talking to nobody there, folks, just for like a couple minutes.
And the
I was
brain
like,
just went.
I'm talking to nobody.
I'm looking to show the real goat. That's what I'm trying to do. But I won't show
Okay.
this goat until we're ready.
Okay.
Um what Tell me, Justin, more about this news that you
Yeah.
speak of.
Yes, yes, yes. There was just some. They do this. I don't know if you've checked it out. They'll recap some of the top kind of movers and shakers in the industry. Radco, Dominion. Some of those folks kind of had some big acquisitions, big sales that were happening. So that's something worth checking out. The also other kind of news in sort of market demand, this came out of RE Journals this week, was the Midwest demand, specifically in Madison and Milwaukee.
Yeah.
There is a greater uptick for a demand in housing that people are seeing. So
I have been to Madison. It is a lovely place during warm weather times.
yeah.
But I
I will
could
say
see
the same
that.
about Milwaukee. I have been
Yeah.
there, and I agree with that assessment.
Well,
So
I
who's the
just want to
goat?
make
Who's the goat?
I just want to make sure we all know who the real goat is.
I believe
I
that's
don't.
appropriate.
I think Simone Biles is without a doubt the GOAT. She will be there speaking on
Hmm.
Friday. She is going to close out NAA, apartmentalize this year. So make sure you go and check that out. This is just her
Yes.
with a little bit of hardware from the last Olympics,
Yeah.
where she
Not
absolutely
much.
dominated after coming back, from having quite a challenging time. And I think one of the reasons why I like Simone Biles is not just because she dominates the sport, not just because she has an amazing personality that dazzles us all the time on camera, whether she's talking to us, but I think it's just her story and her openness of the challenges that she's had during her career, mostly mental, but obviously gymnasts have physical challenges as well, right? I mean, staying healthy is one of the biggest challenges. So I'm excited to hear her talk. I will likely not be there live, but I'm going to try to see if I can catch someone live streaming it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I'll be there.
There we go.
But as we sign off, since this is kind of this unofficial apartmentalized edition of the multifamily weekend update, where can people find you a lot of the time at Apartmentalize?
Oh, I can't say that yet. What are you talking?
No, just tell you can say whatever you want.
Oh,
Palooza.
oh yeah. So you're gonna find me at the Palooza on Tuesday night. You'll find me at the Palooza for sure from
Hmm.
8 o'clock until 11 o'clock, and then you'll find me on the exhibitor floor. I'm gonna be with a brand new. Well, the company's not brand new, but I will be brand new with them. I'm gonna be representing an organization full time in the maintenance world. So I'm excited to.
When are you going to announce it?
During Apartmentalize. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So after
that's
everyone gets there, then you'll
I gotta let people get comfortable, with the
uh-huh.
area.
Right.
And then I'll make that announcement. So
Well, I don't have any announcement. I'll be at booth 1069 at with the MRI Living booth. So you can find me there a lot of the time, but I'll also be around the events because I want to enjoy education, content, and networking. Like I think I like to go find people. And I actually have a surprise coming to some people that may partake in some of my content. That's you'll see soon. I will find you, but I have a gift for some folks. So that's it.
oh, I thought you were gonna put all of us into a puzzle room, and we'd have to do visual pun puzzles in order to
Yes,
get out.
I've
Of,
rented a
of
meeting room and created a multifamily escape room just for y'all.
See, to me, that would be amazing.
That's
Like,
that's
just
that's that's a few years down the road. That'll be my
es-
20th
escape the
NAA.
lease, escape the
Uh-huh.
lease before
Uh-huh.
12 months.
Perfect. I love the creative ideas that are flowing, Eric. It's great.
This
All
is
right. Well, have a
good.
great weekend, everybody.